So I'm here on my day off installing the Redline Precision R6 indexing forend, and I'm also going to be doing the sight, the front sight, which I think is an R7. I noticed some of the other videos on YouTube by Brando McWillie, awesome videos. The one he has, there's actually a set screw here that, boy, that would make it easier holding it on while tightening these down. It's supposed to go on all the way to this little nut here. I don't know if you can see that very well. And then you tighten down these screws. I tightened down this one first, then I did this one, and then this one. I kind of tried to do a crossways pattern. Then I went back through and did them over again, and they were loose, and you do need to go through them several times. And they take quite a bit of elbow grease to get them in so nothing moves. But they're on there really tight. So now I'm going to do the forend installation. And then the sight if I have some time. So I'm going to shut the camera off and get busy. So I've got the handrail started. A little tricky to get the washers and stuff in there. That's my little kid here in the background. So what I did was, when this thing is actually upside down, I slid it in there with my finger, and then I kind of hold it on by putting this tool across it. Boy, it's hard to see in there, I know. And it kind of captures it, so you can get the thread started, then you can manipulate it as you see fit so it's nice and square. Seems pretty easy. I don't know what a lot of people are complaining about, but yeah, it's not the, as far as the entire handrail installation, it's probably the second hardest thing to do. But that's it so far. So I've got the rails all installed on the forend and the manner in which I'm going to use them, and now I'm going to move on to the next step. Which one that is, I am not 100% sure, but I'm going to go ahead and slide this over, test fit everything, then move on to the next step. Looks pretty good. Like it a lot. Pretty easy to put those on, wasn't a big deal. My son agrees. Alright, so now the next steps are basically the full assembly. You can see your indexing rail unit here, and then the corresponding female end on the Redline Precision coupler. And this just goes on. You can kind of slide them on, this one first, then put this guy on, I guess, and just kind of slide it in there, lock it in, put your nut over. I don't know if you can see that okay or not. Just put the nut on. You slide your foregrip unit on, which is kind of tricky to do with one hand. So just make sure the barrel is through the small part you just put on, the little end cap, and slide it on. It's going to go over this guy. And you can see all these holes here. You're going to, these little guys are going to be screwing it into the corresponding ones there. Pretty easy. Alright, so the install's all done. Works pretty good. Walk yourself through slowly and carefully and torque down your bolts. I just did them pretty tight, that's all. I didn't use a torque, a fat wrench or anything like that. Works good. Index is good. It's probably better built than the actual gun itself. Next up, I've got this little front sight with the rail here. My plan was to put the light, I think it's a Streamlight TRL or TLR4 on here, and I was going to leave this section bare, and I was going to put a mag holder on here as well on the right side here. I was going to put a Vortex Strike Fire on the top here, and it should co-witness. I have two mounts to try. Should co-witness the sights, and I may do the drop-down sight mod for the rear sight here, since I probably won't be using it. I wish they made some kind of adapter to fit in a real, flip-up sight or something, just to get rid of this completely. I don't know how accurate it would be if I had a flip-up here and a flip-up here, and then the Vortex on there. That's a lot. That's not very much space for all that stuff. So, and of course, I'd still have the front sight to deal with. So I really like it. It's pretty awesome. I'm really glad I went with this, except for instead of the Kel-Tec rail, just so I can keep the whole point of the Kel-Tec Sub2000 is that it folds. So if you limit its ability to fold, you just made this gun completely useless. Although I will say that there are few sub guns that are as good as this one anyway. I wish I had a Sub 9 with all the aluminum, but I hear these are built better, the Sub 2000. So yeah, got to get busy installing the front sight, and I'll walk you guys through that too. Okay, so the first thing I did to do my Redline R7 front sight install was I just threw this guy on here. This is just a AR riser for a scope mount or whatnot. I've had this kicking around. A lot of people have these kicking around. Pretty old school riser. And I just stuck it on the bottom after I locked the Kel-Tec R6 rail in place. And that's going to give me a nice flush, perfectly level front sight. What they do say to do is to take your muzzle comp or non-muzzle comp bushing, this one here, the thick end here by my thumb, that is going to go back like this onto the gun. They also say the channel slot here should be at the 6 o'clock position, which should be at the bottom of the barrel. So it's going to go on like so. And we're just going to check it real quick. That's pretty good. And then when I add the actual sight to it, the sight is going to go on so that it covers most of this body. This is what actually tightens down on the barrel. So you want it evenly revealed on both sides. So it's going to kind of go in, and it should look something like that. So a little bit of each side peeking out maybe. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those on, and then I'm going to slide the Picatinny rail in the bottom here, and I'll get it lined up. I'm going to test close it and lock it, and just verify that everything works before I tighten everything down. So there it is, all done. Worked like a charm using this guy here. That really helped hold it in place. I may have over-torqued it a bit, so watch out for that. It'll pull the sight body over as you're torquing these down. I don't think you need to really go He-Man on it. I loosened it up a little bit. It's still very, very tight. Probably not going to use it that much, but I'm going to sight it in. Worked really good together. When you're doing this, if you use this type of method to line up your Picatinny rail with the other Picatinny rail, good idea to put the open side of your R6 forend on top, because if you're going to test fold it, obviously it's not going to fold with that rail. In my last little clip, I didn't have the open spot on top, so I had to redo it all real quick. It only took a second, but kind of annoying. But it looks awesome, folds great. Can't wait to accessorize it with some other stuff. And